Yahoo! That's what we always say. Yeah. Welcome to the Good Morning City Council workshop. It's our earliest one ever. And today we have Kent Myers with us, and he is going to talk to us about the process for hiring a city manager. So I'm just going to turn it over to Kent.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne. It's a pleasure to meet with the mayor and council this morning, and we're going to try to keep this as formal as possible, if we could. And I did want to express our appreciation to the city of Morgan's Point Resort for hiring our company. A couple of topics I want to talk to you about this morning, and one particular, or a couple of them I want to get your input on. So these are the things we're going to talk about. First off, I'm going to give some introduction comments, tell you a little more about myself and our company. And I know Mike Bays was here, met with you a couple of weeks ago, and he told you a little bit about our company, but I want to maybe expand on that a little bit. And then I want to talk about the process that we're going to be taking over the next couple of months to try to find you some good candidates for your city manager position. And as part of that discussion, I want to hand out a draft schedule and get your input on the draft schedule so that we can finalize that based upon your input this morning. We want to talk a little bit about the salary that you want to include in the advertisements and the job profile and see if we can come up with a consensus on that. No votes required, but I just need some direction from you on that. We want to also talk about the residency, how important residency is to you in terms of city residency. Some cities go with like a county residency or a certain distance from the city limits or something like that. But I want to see if we can reach consensus on how you want to handle the residency because, again, that's an important issue that we'll be including in our information. And then I'll have some concluding comments based upon my visit so far and what I think will transpire over the next couple of weeks. So again, I'm Kent Myers, and I am the Vice President for Clear Career Professionals. I'm also the Director of our recruiting programs. And a little background on me, I grew up in the Fort Worth area, graduated from University of Texas at Arlington with a criminal justice degree, then went on to Texas Christian University where I got my master's in public administration. Following that, I went to work for COG. I know you have a very active COG here. I went to work for the East Texas Council of Governments, which is located in Kilgore. Spent 3 years there helping cities around that area, similar to what takes place in this area where we go out and assist cities with any sort of special project. So I did that for about 3 years. And then I became the first city manager in Converse, Texas. I don't know if any of you have heard of Converse, but it's a suburb of San Antonio. And it's known, one of the things it's known for is a real good football program. But it's a real growing residential community, suburb of San Antonio. Spent 7 years in Converse, and as the first city manager, it was a really good experience for me. I was young and helped set up a lot of different programs. And then me and my wife, and I had 2 young kids at that time, we decided to go out of state and went to accept a job as city manager in Casa Grande, Arizona, which is between Phoenix and Tucson, a really nice community there on the interstate. Was there for 5 years, and then we decided to move closer back to Texas, and I became city manager in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And fortunately, I was there for 14 years, which is a record, I think, for that city. And one of the good things about being there 14 years, which isn't typical for a city manager to be that, say that long, but one thing that was real positive for me and my family is I was able to keep my kids in the same school system throughout there, and so didn't have to pull them up. And so if you have been to Hot Springs, it's a beautiful community, national park, lakes, just a really historic district and so forth. So really good experience for me in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And then I remarried, and my wife and I wanted to take a new adventure, and we moved up to the Seattle area, and I became city manager of a town up there called Port Angeles, Washington, which is right on the coast, right next to Olympic National Park, right across from Victoria, Canada, and just a really beautiful place, and spent 3.5 years up there as city manager. And then I decided I was looking at kind of closing out my career in city management. I wanted to move back to Texas because my family lived in San Antonio and Wimberley. Right now they're pretty well around the Wimberley area. And so I accepted a job as city manager in Fredericksburg. And once again, great community, beautiful wineries, historic district. So I spent 10 years as city manager in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Hot Springs, Fredericksburg, Texas. And that was a great closing to my career. A year and a half ago, I retired out of Fredericksburg. And so when I retired, I basically did nothing for a couple of months. Yeah, it didn't last long. And decided Mike Bays, myself, and Kelly Kunstler, three city managers, had kind of retired about the same time, decided to form this company, Clear Career Professionals. So we put this company together because we saw a lot of need, particularly smaller communities in Texas, that didn't have the staff to go out and find not only city managers, but also police chiefs and fire chiefs and other management personnel. And one of the challenges that they were dealing with is a very tight labor market, which is impacting the public sector just like private companies. And so cities were having a hard time getting applicants. When I started, and applied for jobs, we'd get 100 applications back, 20, 30 years ago. And nowadays, the average is probably 20 to 30 applications for a job. And so the market's tight. Cities were struggling finding good candidates, and we formed this company to help smaller cities out with this recruiting effort. Over the last 18 months since we were established, we've done a number of recruitments around Texas. We just finished Salado, city manager of Salado. We finished that recruitment. I handled a couple of cities in the Galveston area, Kemah and Jamaica Beach, recruited city managers there. I did a recruitment for city manager in Kerrville, Murphy, Texas, and several others. Hondo, we did a Hondo search. And right now we're real busy with police chief recruitments. Mike is handling most of those because he has a police background. And we've been successful in our every recruiting effort. And I think if you'll check with any of the cities I mentioned, mayor and council, they'll give us a lot of praise. And one reason we're successful is we've spent a lot of time in the community talking to people like not only council members, but staff and residents to gain a real thorough understanding of the community and what type of person you're looking for your city manager. We can find people that have education. We can find people that have experience. But again, are they going to be a good fit to the unique needs of the community? Every city in Texas is different. Certainly, Morgan's Point Resort is different than Salado or Kerrville or anybody else. So we want to get kind of into the community to find out what type of personality would fit in with the community. And so that's what we're here for over the next couple of days, is to try to gain that understanding so we can fit the individual to the community's needs. The other thing that separates us a little bit from our competition out there is we put a lot of focus on communication. And not only do we communicate with the city councils on a regular basis, I'll send you regular reports, but also we believe it's important to communicate with applicants. And I don't know how many of y'all have been through a recruiting process where you apply for a job and you don't hear anything for a month or two. Yeah, we've all done that. And you're sitting there trying to think, well, am I going to have to move? Am I going to, what kind of changes are I going to make in my life? And nobody's letting me know. I'm in the dark. We call our applicants every week. We have somebody in our company that's devoted to that completely. So they get them on the phone, contact them and say, hey, the city council's meeting 2 weeks from today. They'll make decisions. And so we try to keep the communication lines open. So we'll communicate with y'all too, and to let you know as we go through the process, how many applications we're receiving, where we placed advertisements and so forth, so that you're informed. And one of the reasons we do that is because we know as council members, you get questions in the community. You're at church, you're out walking, or you're at the grocery store, and people are saying, well, what's going on with the city manager recruitment? And the last thing you want to say is, I don't know, or, the city never tells me anything, or anything like that. It puts you in an embarrassing situation. So we want to keep you in the know of what's going on so you can respond to citizen questions. So anyway, that's a little bit about me and our company. And again, at the end of my comments today, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. But let's get into the main purpose of this meeting today, and that is to talk about the process and the schedule. So what I would like to do is and the process of schedule kind of ties together. So I'm going to hand out a draft schedule, and let's go through that. And Dorothy's given me a little input so far that I've used to prepare this draft. And again, this is I want to emphasize big letters there, draft, because I really want your input today so that we can finalize this and move forward. So again, the first step is what we're doing today, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We're meeting with the mayor, city council, department heads, and community stakeholders. And then tonight we have a town meeting to get input from residents. Again, this is an effort to understand the community, understand the challenges, opportunities for city manager coming in. And all this input's important to us so that we can identify people that will be a match for the community. So we will take this information that we're getting. I'll be taking a lot of notes throughout my visits and preparing what's called a job profile. And this is about a 4 or 5 page recruitment brochure that we use to promote to candidates out there. Not all our candidates will be interested in Morgansport Resort. They, maybe want to work for a larger community. Maybe they want to work for someone that has a large commercial base, whatever. So we'll use this job profile to kind of narrow down that level of interest and try to attract people to this position that are, again, a good fit to what we're looking for. So once we get your input over the next couple of days, I'll be working with Mike and other people back in our office to prepare a draft job profile. And again, it's a draft. And I will send this to y'all to review. Normally that review process is I ask the city council to review and get back with us in about a week. But you can see February 1st through 22nd, I've allowed 3 weeks instead of 1 week for that. And one reason for that is the next step 4 there that I've identified there. Dorothy thought it would be advantageous to us to wait to actually kick off advertisements until the new strategic plan is presented to the council. So,
can I make a quick comment on that?
Go ahead, Dorothy.
It's really not a strategic plan. It is a 23-24 work plan.
Okay.
So it's really narrow. We have not done a strategic plan.
Okay.
And that is
Thank you.
the next step, in a few months, and maybe with the new city manager to help us create a strategic plan.
Okay.
And also the comprehensive plan will feed into that also. But this is a 23-24 work plan.
Okay.
It's very tactical.
Okay, so do y'all feel like y'all be ready to approve that on February 22nd? And if so, would you like to wait till that's done before we advertise for the city manager? That's kind of what Dorothy had suggested. And so is that agreeable to everybody? Anybody have a problem with that?
We had talked about the 28th, the end of the month, going to market.
February 28th, okay.
Yeah, and then we also probably need the council to look at the job profile for sure, and salary,
Right.
but the job description, and then the brochure. So
Well,
all
the job
that-
profile is the brochure.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
the brochure?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
I
the
thought
same
they
thing.
were
Yeah,
separate
yeah.
pieces.
No, that's a good question.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'd like, Jimbo and I are your contact.
Okay.
But we want council to sign off on everything. So I think we need time to look at that.
Okay.
And on the,
Have you started that yet, Jimbo and Dorothy? Have y'all started looking at the job description?
I have, but what we said was as a group,
Okay.
we were going to come together, and after you get all the input, we'll take all your input, and then also Ryan wants to be a part of the process.
Okay, good.
And we'll take a look at and I'm sure you will take a look at our
Yeah,
job
yeah, and it's
description.
important that that's as current as
So
possible.
it'll be an interactive process, I think.
Okay.
So I think giving us to the 28th to get those pieces
Okay,
coming together.
all right, so we'll add,
I don't know how you guys, Jimbo, you and I have already kind of talked about this, so.
what Dorothy's
Yeah.
suggesting is that we change the review process from February, change it from February 1st to February 28th to review the job profile and also the job description. And then the council would approve those on February 28th. And then after that, the next day, we would kick off the advertisement, which I don't have a calendar. I think there's 29 days in February.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, yeah,
We might need that extra day.
yeah. So February 29th, we would actually kick off the
Okay.
advertisement. So does that seem to be agreeable to everybody?
As long as all the pieces come together.
Yeah,
You know, if there's a hangup,
This is all subject to change as we go
Yes.
through the process. You're right. Yeah, no, we're not, this is not cut in stone, but this is at least provide us a starting point. Okay?
you know, because I think the five of us want to have workshop, and Dennis, of course, for 6.
Huh?
We want to be together and talk about this, so we're not, we appreciate all the work you guys are doing, but we still want to make sure that,
And I've already asked you, Ray, for the job description, so I can start looking at that. Okay?
So, yeah, we sent that to Mike, so Mike has it.
Oh,
Do
he
you
does?
have it?
Okay. No, I don't.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then we would kick off the advertisements, and advertisements are usually for 30 days. We use TML, we use the Texas City Managers Association, but we also make use of social media quite a bit, particularly LinkedIn. That's been one of our most popular social media methods that we use. We do Facebook and some other postings. A lot of city managers are active on social media, so we'll promote it. Now, we're not suggesting that we promote this outside of Texas. And some cities, larger cities, want to do a national search, but I got the indication that this is just Texas only. Is that correct?
Everybody agree to that? Yeah.
Okay,
At first, I mean, if
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
get the candidates that we want, then I
That's right.
think we should open it up.
good point, yeah. Okay, so that would make the deadline towards the end of March. Then what will take place after the deadline is Mike, myself, and one other individual with our company will review the applications, and we normally identify 6 to 8 what we call semifinalists. These are the individuals that, based upon their cover letter and resume, seem to be on the outside a good match for the city. So we will identify those, and then we will select those for what's called a video interview. We'll actually get them on the phone and we'll actually do a Microsoft Teams meeting. It'll be videotaped, and we have a series of questions we'll ask them. And we will, based upon that process, we will try to narrow it down to 3 or 4 what we call finalists for the position. And you can see moving down to April 9th, which of course that date will change a little bit. We will then recommend to the mayor and council 3 or 4 finalists, and we will present you a package of information at that point in time. And that will include the resumes, cover letters, the video interviews. You'll get a chance to watch those video interviews, so you kind of get acquainted for the individuals, and then also the background checks. We'll do a very thorough background check, credit history, criminal history, verify their education. We'll do all that, so there's no surprises as far as that. And so all that will come in a package to you.
Can I ask, does that background check include like social media checks and newspaper articles and, okay, thank you.
All that, yeah. Good question. Okay. And then we want to give you all an opportunity to review that and make sure that you concur with our recommendations. And if you say, yeah, let's move forward, then we will start scheduling the interviews. The interviews, normally those interviews are in executive session. And we'll need to, again, post that meeting, but post it as an executive session. Normally we try to schedule those interviews on one day. So it will be kind of a long day for y'all. And then after the final interview, we would ask the council to try to identify your preferred candidate. Don't vote on it, but say, this is number 1 on our list based upon the interviews. We won't recommend, by the way, we don't recommend anybody to be hired here. We will just provide you the finalist that meets your needs. And then y'all have a better understanding of the community than we do. You will make that decision without our recommendation. And one of the reasons we do that is we don't want to have our bias come into the situation where some of the candidates we may have known for 20 years and some may be new. And so we don't want to get accused of favoring somebody because we've known them a while. So we will give you the finalists, but again, they'll all be on a equal playing field coming forward for their interviews with y'all. Then once you identify the preferred candidate, then you normally the mayor or possibly Dorothy, you and Jimbo would be involved in negotiating an employment contract. Those are typical for city managers, employment agreement. We will help you on that. And let me back up. On the actual interview that will take place, we will prepare a list of sample questions for you that normally city councils ask during the interview, but we encourage you to ask your own questions too, and come up with some questions that are unique to some of the challenges that you're facing here. So we'll help you. I will be here for the interviews. I will not participate in the interviews. I'll sit in the back of the room, but I'll be here in case you need me and that kind of thing, okay?
On the negotiation of the contract, do we negotiate directly with the candidate, or are you our agent?
Y'all
Okay.
directly.
Then it probably ought to be just two of us with, of course, you, Ryan, and our attorney. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, attorney.
Why would you just do two?
It's, we will have agreed on all the criteria going into that. So this is a matter of meeting with the candidate to just finalize. And you'll look at the agreement for sure, but it's the finalization that, just you go back and forth. And to get the whole council, we would probably have to have a workshop every day. Because we want to.
I mean, more than two, you're going to have to post the meeting.
Well, yeah, but
We want to act, but honestly, let's talk about that for a minute. If you guys want to be a part of the contract, is that normal that the whole council?
Normally, it would be, you give him direction and say, this is the range of the salary we want, this is the severance we want, and you go out and try to negotiate this, work with the city attorney, and the council gives him the direction, and he goes out and tries to put together the
I like that. Are you comfortable with that, Pat?
I think so.
Okay.
I just,
And we'll talk when we get closer to. If anyone feels uncomfortable with any of this.
Sure.
Let's do a quick timeout and say, hey, I need to get more involved.
yeah.
Or,
The last 200 of these I've done are kind of unique, this one is. Okay, we don't know what the hell we're doing. This is all new for a lot of us. At this position, we've all been in hiring positions, we've all scanned people, we've all done all that kind of stuff, but this is different. And we want to make sure that we're all on the same.
well, let's, schedule workshops and,
Yes.
read as much as you can. Have you looked at the job description yet? I mean, you might want to start there to get a good feel for, what's required of a city manager.
So that last
know what
interview,
you've done.
normally what happens is, say you have 4 interviews, and after the 4th interview, then the council will go back in executive session, and you'll talk about, hey, I like this person, and they all agree that that person's number one. And then we also, at that time, talk about the salary parameters and the, residency and the other things that you want to add to the contract negotiations. And then somebody will take those comments forward and try to negotiate a deal. Now, does your city attorney usually come to your council meetings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It could be your city attorney or your own, or it could be both of them taking your comments during the executive session and come up with a draft agreement. And again, you would have to approve any agreement that they come up with, so you're not delegating your authority to them. You're just saying, this is the direction we want you to take to try to negotiate a deal.
Just a minor point, I don't want to get in the weeds. You're talking about the residency requirement. If somebody has a residency requirement, would you not, is that part of the advertising so that
Yes.
if Joe Smith does,
Yes,
or
definitely.
Mary Jane lives someplace else and doesn't want to move,
That's right.
that they know that up front. So
Let's say you
not
top
surprising.
candidate, let's say your top candidate's in Waco or say Temple or something, and you say, no, you got to move closer, then that would be in the advertisement, the job.
Yeah, so they would know that.
They would know
ahead.
that, and
No
they could
surprise.
decide whether they want to move or not. Yep.
Thank you.
Is it typical for, or what is the process normally for council to meet with the finalist? Is it obviously executive session as a group, or is it typical to do like one-on-one interviews with candidates?
No,
or
not
group?
typical. Yeah, it needs to be as a group, usually, yeah.
Well, I like the idea of Ryan being our negotiator.
Okay.
I
Does he?
What?
Will he?
Yeah,
Yes, he
he'll
will.
do it.
He will.
We hired him, he'll do it.
There you go.
I think he'd enjoy it. I think he'd,
Yeah, he's, yes.
and he wants to make sure you hire a good person, of course. He has a vested interest in here.
Yeah.
His wife told him he needs to cut back on his hours, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been marvelous.
Yeah, he's good. Okay. So I will, well, first off, are there any other questions or comments about the schedule or the process? Yeah, well, this is good discussion. I'm glad we're doing this, yeah. Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the salary. And I took some notes based upon my discussion with Ryan yesterday, that there has been some discussion And I think the budget is 136,000 base salary. Now, Ryan said there has been discussion on whether or not that's competitive and so forth. And personally, a city this size, I think it is competitive. But what I would suggest, which is normal, is a salary range. And that way, if you get somebody that maybe is a little bit less experienced and you want to grow that person, I mean, you can get them up to 136 in 2 or 3 years. But I would suggest a salary range. My recommendation is a salary range of 120 to 140. And I think, again, if you get a top candidate in here who blows the competition away and he or she needs a salary of 120, 140 to move his family here, I don't want that to, be a limiting factor. So what do y'all think about a salary range of 120 to 140? That's
Can we talk total compensation package? So like
That-
that would be the salary.
that would be
but
the base
is there a
salary. They
car
get-
allowance?
car allowance is normal, ranges anywhere from 600 to 800, something like that a month.
And then signing bonus of any
Nope,
sort?
That's not typical.
Okay, just asking.
Nope. And normal benefits, what other city employees, you have TMRS? Right?
No, we have Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Health insurance, but I'm talking about
Health insurance.
retirement.
Oh, yes, absolutely, for retirement. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I go straight to
Yeah, and
healthcare.
I'll get all that information in my meetings with the city staff today, of course. And, okay,
Yeah, I would think the city manager would follow our all the employee policies. Okay.
now sometimes they want to negotiate maybe an extra week of vacation or something because they put in a lot of extra hours. And so, again, that's part of the negotiation. They may come back and say, well, I know employees get 2 weeks vacation, but I'd like an extra week because so and so. And also the other thing is normally cities reimburse for relocation cost. And what I've been through in my career is I was required to get bids from 3 different moving companies, and the city council would approve the low bid. And so you need to consider that, depending on where they're moving from. Well, they'll all be in Texas, so I would say it'd be about 15,000, something like that, maybe to move all your household goods here.
And so relocation, that only includes moving costs. It doesn't include any other,
Like, I'm sorry.
well, sometimes you get, well, this is corporate America, but sometimes you get in part of the relocation package, money to put down on a house.
Oh,
So
okay.
Like a down payment, if we're going to require residency, or, but I don't know that that's normal in government.
Tell you what, Dorothy, this discussion, what I think I should do based upon this discussion is give y'all a sample employment agreement from another city, because you're going to be talking about job description and some other things, and then you can talk about this sample employment agreement and what you like and don't like about it. Like we can give you the one we did in Slato, for example, whatever, since that's close by. You could say, well, I like that or I don't like that, and again, that's
The letters that came through TML are one of those multiple billion emails we get. One of the cities had just changed their city manager, and I guess it was the mayor had written a letter and was complaining to the council and to the public that whoever their manager was had spent an awful lot of time not managing that city, but doing consulting work. And so that mayor person, I believe it was the mayor, was proposing in the next job that whoever that person was not going to be doing consulting on their dime.
Yeah.
And,
okay. That's important. Normally, I haven't seen that in any recent agreements, but if that's important to y'all, we could add a clause in there. You will work full-time for the city of Morgan's Point Resort and accept no other position when
Yeah,
you're employed here. Yeah.
I think that's a really good point.
I don't remember-
I've had that in the past in our city. So, but is that normal to put in an agreement that,
Not normal, but it wouldn't be a problem. I don't think most city
I don't
managers
wanna
wouldn't do
come
that
across
anyway,
as-
yeah, but
yeah,
just to protect yourself.
and I think it kind of emphasizes, if that's what we want, is a full-time, then, I'm not off every Tuesday and Wednesday to,
unless we want to put in there, and I don't know how this works, but if you are going to consult, then you need to bring it to council for approval.
Yep, you can do that.
And that way, they have flexibility if they have time on the weekends and want to work on a project of some sort, that they're getting compensated for, and, okay.
Yeah, you want to make sure we don't infringe upon any of their rights, but I also
Correct.
don't want, you know,
So Dennis,
Just an
you've
idea.
experienced this in our city, so didn't the person just come to you as mayor and say, this is what I'm gonna do, and it was okay?
I mean, I've seen people, we had applicants from Salado that wanted to come to work as city manager, and yet wanted to be city manager of Rockport on weekends. I mean, I read all kinds of stuff. You know, it's a contract, a contract. You can put whatever you want to in there.
That's right.
It's all negotiable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it depends on how much you wanna restrict them, or, like you say, that's a good idea by bringing it to council if we want to allow somebody to do something, you know, to help maybe like Little River Academy helps. I think Dolphin helped them a
Right.
couple of weekends. You know, don't tie them down to, let us look at it before we approve it.
You guys comfortable with that? Okay.
well, I think we can continue looking at it.
And again, when you approve that, you approve it in an open meeting and completely transparent with the citizens. If they happen to hear something, well, yeah, we approved it in an open meeting, here are the minutes of the meeting, and so forth.
I like that.
And we'll have transparency throughout this process as much as we can, okay? Because I know your citizens,
Not opening it up to the public negotiations, because you'll get,
no,
Oh, no, oh, no, no, no,
you
no.
don't wanna get into that. I
No,
think all that
no.
needs to be done.
We represent them.
So back on the salary range of 120 to 140, are y'all okay with that range, or what's it?
The high end of the range, I don't know. You know the market better than I do, but I'm thinking 150. But you know the market better than I do.
Again, it's all negotiable. When you get to 150 would be a lot better. I'll say that, so.
And again, it's a range, and what we decide on will be dependent upon whatever that person brings to us.
I mean, we're not saying we can not, whatever the range is in concrete, but as a starting point.
Uh-huh.
Guideline.
And see what kind of response you get. If everybody wants 2.25 for the guy that just graduated from college,
Uh-huh.
and, you know.
Sure.
So we gotta, like you said, the market is pretty, I think it's still pretty tight.
It's pretty tight, yeah.
And,
Just
you know,
keep in mind that at 150, when you start adding car allowance, removing.
yeah, you're talking a lot of money.
Retirement, health insurance.
That's true, too.
You're gonna be looking at 175, 180 real quick.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is at 40%,
Starting
yeah.
at 150, so I'm just gonna keep that in mind.
Yeah,
There's a lot of.
It's bumping
retirement,
200.
Insurance gets real big on that in a hurry.
Sure. Okay.
so we'll use your expertise on the market.
Well, I think Dorothy's right, though. If we can just put 150 in there, you might attract some additional applicants. I would suggest we go with that.
It's like the $9.99 price.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I mean, it's like somebody,
It is,
it might just, yeah, okay.
okay. All right, so 120 to 150?
And the extra coupon is moving expenses or something.
A couple movie coupons, right?
There you go.
Okay.
So we're talking 120 to 150. Is everybody comfortable with that? Well, if you're not, then. I think so.
Yeah, we can figure it out later.
See what we get.
Yeah,
Right.
kind of have to see what the market bears.
That's right.
And things are changing so fast out there in the economy.
Okay, so let's move on and talk about residency. So again, every city is different. Some cities have it in their charter. Of course, you don't have a home rule charter here, but some cities, like when I was in Converse, I had to live in the city limits. In Fredericksburg, I had to live in the city limits. But every city is different, and of course, you don't have a charter here. You don't have any written requirement for residency, I don't think, according to your, that I could come up with. So, but again, I need to know what the council's expectations are so we can identify that in the job profile and our discussion. So, it's several ways that cities handle it. One is a strict requirement that they have to live in the city limits. And with that in mind, they give them a certain time when they have to move into city limits. You have to live in the city limits within like 6 months or something like that. A second option would be, no, you don't have to live in the city limits, but you have to live in the county. That's what we did in Jamaica Beach. They said, there's not very much housing available in Jamaica Beach, but you have to live in Galveston County. And one of the reasons they said that is we want the city manager to be able to respond to emergencies, after hours. And if you're living in Hillsborough, you can't really respond to emergencies that happen after hours. So they said, we can't expect you to live in Jamaica Beach, but we would like to live in Galveston County. And then the third option is to just specify a distance that you have to live 30 miles, within 30 miles or 50 miles or whatever. So again, this is something that it's not hard and fast as far as your decision today. You can always see what your applications are, but in our advertisement and discussions with people, they're going to ask that question: what is the city council's expectations right now as far as residency? So let's open it up for whoever wants to give me some feedback on that one.
I think residency is preferred.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
City residency.
Yeah, city residency is preferred for me.
Keep in mind, we don't have a lot of affordable housing in Morgan's Point. So when you think 150 as being a good salary, keep in mind that probably the median price of the home in Morgan's Point is probably 300,000 plus. 'Cause all the stuff that's going in on Tila he's starting at 700,000. So the new subdivision. So we don't have apartments. So you may want to maybe keep them to Temple Belton area, or maybe put a mileage deal on it. It's gonna be hard to put a lot of people that live in Morgan's Point with the housing the way it is. My opinion.
Well, Roxanne, I like the way you said it, in that residency preferred. Is
Yeah.
that too open? Is that too gray?
Could we say residency preferred and then must live within so many miles of the city?
You could add
I mean-
that to it.
Yeah, because the school districts here are outstanding. So, and we've got schools really close. So schools should be a selling point for us. But we do have more affordable housing, in the Temple area that, 5-10 minutes away?
Well, I was just
Well, it
looking
used
at
to be
some,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Pat, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say 5 or 10 minutes. No, it's more like 20.
Oh, I'm sorry, just where the new high school is.
Oh, yeah. But of course, then by that also, maybe we're not going to have people who don't care about the schools because they're past that point.
Absolutely. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
So,
it's
yeah,
important
it is a
to
good
have a
selling
family.
point, but it's also, we got to realize we want
Yeah.
some stability.
I'm leaning towards, I like the preferred, residency is preferred, and that doesn't lock them in, doesn't weed people out necessarily. And just, you were talking about mileage, 50 miles kind of comes to mind for me, and I know it sounds like a large number, but when you look at 50 miles, that encompasses Waco, Coppers Cove, down to Salado, and, response time getting back to the city is an hour, 50 miles away. So, yeah, I think we have to look at folks who might want to be coming here who want to buy property, like out in the county areas. So, I think if we say like 5 or 10 miles, we're going to be limiting ourselves again. I think preferred,
Well, how far is
30.
Temple?
I was thinking 30.
I thought Temple was like
Temple's about-
11 miles away. to
It's 10
Scott and White.
miles to Scott and White. Yeah.
Right. So does that,
Some days seems to be longer.
Well, it's still 10 miles.
Yeah, I know.
You would specify a mile.
Yeah.
20 miles would pick up everything, Temple, Belton, and surrounding area, I think, 20 miles.
And I think that could, if,
Wouldn't pick up Waco, it wouldn't pick up,
that could be a negotiation point too.
Austin,
definitely,
Round Rock?
yeah, Round Rock. It
Georgetown?
wouldn't pick up Round Rock,
Yep, it would, and it pick up Georgetown.
wouldn't?
Oh, yeah, I think,
Oh, would, 20 miles would, okay.
oh, no, not 20 miles,
Not-
I'm sorry.
No, that'd be 40. That'd be 40, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a good negotiation
Within
point.
20 miles. Let's start with that.
Okay,
Preferred residency, required to be within 20 miles.
okay, good. Okay, and if you change on this, and, based upon what you're hearing from citizens or anything else, let me
Okay,
know,
or what
because,
you hear.
again, we're not doing the profile until the end of February, so we got some time, but this will at least give us some initial guidance. So if council changes, let, I guess, Dorothy and Jimbo know they're my contacts, right?
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, and this is really the first time we've all talked about this, so, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so in closing, a couple of things I want to mention to you. First off, when you do hire a new city manager and that person comes on board, well, let me just say, we take a lot of pride in trying to create a diverse group of applicants. So I think somebody mentioned to me yesterday, you've never had a female city manager. Well, there's a lot of good female city managers and assistant city managers out there right now. And we've had a successful track record in recruiting females to positions. We just hired, we didn't hire, but we recommended, and the city of Murphy hired a black female couple of weeks ago or a month ago. And so we will see diverse, we will probably have some Hispanic applicants and other minorities. And so, again, you need to realize that we take pride in the diversity of applicants that we'll bring forward.
On that, do you look at the demographics of the particular city?
Nope,
Okay, fine.
Not usually.
Okay.
The only thing that would come in, Dorothy, would be if a city said, we want somebody, or we prefer somebody that's bilingual, which, would lead more to a Hispanic type of person. That would be the only time that, yeah. But no, we don't look at the demographics, again, yeah. And then the other thing I want to emphasize is when you hire a new city manager, that person comes on board, make sure within 30 days you sit down with that individual and set some performance goals. Basically, what are the priorities of the mayor and council? What do you want that person to accomplish, say, in the next 90 days or 6 months or 1 year? And the reason that is so important is that gives that person some clear direction on what's most important to the city council. And the other thing it provides you is when they come up for evaluation, usually evaluation takes place in either 6 months or 1 year, they can be considered for a salary increase based upon whether or not they've met those performance goals. So if, for example, you set 12 performance goals, and a year from now you sit down with that individual and say, well, wait a minute, you've only done 2 of these 12, then maybe the person doesn't get a raise, and they try harder next time to do it. So, but if they've accomplished 10 of the 12 or whatever, you say, well, that's you've done what we wanted you to do, you met your goals, and that is a big factor in determining whether you get a raise. Now, doesn't guarantee they'll get a raise. Of course, raises are dependent on the budget and the economy and so forth, but at least that gives them good guidance on what they need to do to fulfill the requirements of the city council. So
that would go in the contract, a 6-month review, okay.
yeah. If you want to do a 6 month or you want to do a year, that'd be something to put in the contract. And then in closing, I've had a chance to drive around and I've had a chance to meet with a couple of, met with Ron and the mayor and Mr. Bishop yesterday and also Roxanne. And so I've got a kind of a preliminary feel of the community. And again, I want to continue these meetings, but I think Morgan's Point Resort does have a lot of positives to offer candidates. And so I think this will attract, I would guess, 20 to 25 applicants based upon our recent experience. And the positives that you have going for you, number one is the quality of life here. And I'm not telling y'all anything about, that quality of life. You got a low crime rate, you got good relaxing environment, you've got, friendly people, and just, you got the lake here, of course. And so that quality of life will be a major attraction for the council, or for the candidates. And then the council overall seems to be pretty unified. That not to say you agree on everything, and certainly there's some split votes, but if you can get along and be unified and work together, then that is a big attraction for city manager candidates. A lot of city councils out there right now are dysfunctional, and I'm not picking on any, but there's just a trend right now where council members are fighting and arguing and, debating for 4 hours and different things. And that city manager candidates look at that, they watch the videos of the council meetings, and they tend to shy away from those kind of jobs. So again, if you can, when you get into the interviews, if you can display that you're a unified city council, that's a real attraction. So I think the community offers some real positive attractions for city manager candidates. And again, I think you'll get a good group of finalists that we'll bring forward. So those are my comments I wanted to share with you today, and we'll just kind of open this up if you want to. Anything else you want to talk about?
I have to go to a meeting, so I have to leave, but it was very good. Thank you very much.
We're up next, so I'm
Hey.
going to ask people to scoot out so we can
Oh, yeah,
stay on
right on
time.
You want
You guys-
to do it here? Your meeting here?
Sure,
Okay.
yeah. I think all your meetings will be here. That way you don't have to go anywhere else.